Okay. Now that the game is finally up here on my screen, I will actually record an episode of this. Or at the very least, try. So without further ado, let's just get right into this. This is apparently a horror game by the title of Tiny Bunny. It's essentially a horror visual novel that apparently has like 5 episodes, but right now there's only just this one. But the first episode is free to play on Steam. I will leave a link in the description if you like what you see. And you can get the game for yourself, and if you don't agree with the choices I make, you know, all that good happy shit. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined twined in the air, or twinned in the air. They were shouting and laughing, and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days, and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was my imagination. I was already 12, after all. Still. Oh, that is creepy. But unique. Hey, put away your book. How many times do I have to tell you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. You hush. Love the art style. Like, that's a really unique art style, and the girl here reminds me of Shiro from Dead Man Wonderland. What? Oh, am I supposed to hide the book? Okay. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. There you go. Man has classy taste. Can't really blame him. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it! I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless nights of the black forest and around our house and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Cousteau Odyssey. I loved that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. Yeah, there's a reason we don't spend very much money exploring the bottom of the ocean, and we spend a fuck ton trying to explore space. Or how cold the Black Forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this, carved on the other side of the table? Karina. Ha! That's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. She'd scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Ah, yes, the hypocrisy of parents. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagined her being my age and sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagined my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Taiga is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely and sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody. Never yelled, never swore. There were those times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. Oh great, it's one of these. Thanks, asshole. You know who I'm talking to. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet. Patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olya was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze to the frosted window. There was a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. Olya, look, it's a fox! Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle... Not outside, on the window! Look, here's the nose, and here's... Hey, eat up! Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is. But it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you that it does. Nuh-uh. Ah, yes, the sibling rivalry crap. It does. Stop it. These kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty patterns similar to stretched out nettle leaves kept creeping up the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Kid, I've been trying, and the fact that you look like me when I was younger, you ain't gonna get it. Trust me, I've been trying since I could actually grow facial hair at the age of 16, 15. It ain't gonna work. You'll grow with a fucking patchy one like mine half the time. Mom would always ask jokingly, "Come on, shave it off, it stings." This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Olya always covers her ears when she hears something like, "What's the point in all this?" through the wall. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply, "for the sake of the family." I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. D-I-V-O. I don't even want to finish it. Yep, divorce. It was so scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. "You and your owl talk again." "You said you believed me just yesterday." "Has anybody seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill." Right. Maybe you did, maybe not. You're a grown man, a father of two, and still... "Karina, please stop. Just let me get ready in peace." Your keys are in the basket, near the phone. Well, thank you very much. Anton, stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl. There was no owl. But there was one. It had giant glowing eyes. Olya sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers, the size of an apple each. "Last year, you had Baba in your closet, and now this owl?" Baba, in Slavic folklore, a nocturnal spirit used by parents to threaten their ill-behaving children. Oh, that's kind of cool. But I saw it. Olya shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. "Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice." "Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little." Olya pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed, and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. I like that, the little sound effects and stuff after clicking through each little window thing. It was stored on incredibly worn-out cassette tape, which Dad had already glued together once. I remember those. It was so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. Yeah, until you get to DVDs and Blu-ray. And then it starts getting difficult by the moment. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Olya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped her to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Oh God, that's freaky. And then Olya said that she saw a giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night I couldn't get a wink of sleep, and ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led into a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures, cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Oh god, I identify with this man. Great. I've moved so many times, it's not funny to the point of this is like every child's fear whenever they move to a new home. Their cruel glares, filled with icy snares, made me shiver from head to toe, and I meant sneers, not snares. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down? Stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wished for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who were just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up. Think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. Oh, okay, so he was bullied at his previous school. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. Dealt with that too as a kid. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. Small circle of friends, I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine my mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number." Or, "Anton is not around." Anton is not around. I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds, just like me, listening to the howls of the invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? Yep. I can honestly say I've got that. Not sure if that's in the camera or not, but that's how thick one of my eyes is for sight, because this eye wound up losing a lot of sight in it, while this eye actually started getting better. So who knows, maybe in a few years I'll wind up with a monocle. I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little. Now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easy. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my diseased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drawings were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized that I was in fact hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere, at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed with the sound of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts, too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there, amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out with the forest, that dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight. bumped into piles of snow, rolled all around, and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. No, they're furries. Because that is literally what I'm seeing. I'm seeing an owl. If he would stop moving for half a second so I can point my cursor to him. Probably the person playing the flute. A bear. And a fox and probably a wolf. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands, whipping up snow and disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment, then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, and making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival, and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Jesus Christ. That actually scared me for a second. It glided on the squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch black. Oops. Shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like the bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. And now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with a blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features looked sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell that she taught me throughout the whole procedure. Now, lying under the blanket, listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Buyan, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of colored blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair, for the spawn from the devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone were scratching at the front door, hurriedly crawling at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently, as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of the darkness. And then... doorknob twitched. Slightly. Then it turned halfway. Once. Twice. As if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more, and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now, you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the carnivorous mouths of a doorway. Tony. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony! My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tony, you asleep? My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Olya? I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olya down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? The question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled. Fuzzy, even. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. I couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, just a moment. Ah! That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olya and her owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. You know what? With that, I think I will call that an episode. But if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below, subscribe for more, and as always, have a wonderful day.